My name's Beth Guide. For those of you that don't know me, I'm with a company called Vertical Web. And today I'm going to be talking about technical SEO and why it's important. And I think this is one of those things that people don't know, people don't do. And because you don't do them and you don't know them, and when you don't do them, you don't send the right things to the right signals to Google. Google, and I'm saying Google, but I think the thing is that as time's going on, we're becoming more and more, there's multiple different sources. So if you do your website right and you do you right, you end up becoming the source material for AI. You know, we've talked about consistently not to use AI to write your content for your website and put that on there. So I'm not going to beat that dead horse today. At least I don't think so. Give me time. It's been known to happen. But the thing is that you want to be the source material, so you need to send out the right signals. And this is really this technical SEO aspects. These are the things that prohibit you from being number one or ranking well on your website. If you don't do them and don't know to do them, and what I'll say is that most people either don't do them, don't understand them. They hire a web designer that doesn't understand them, and the web designer doesn't know what to do with them. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is technical SEO and what that is. So first of all, we're going to talk about, I'm going to start with the header tag. And I brought my website up because I think it's a really good example. As we go through this and we talk about this, there's a tool out there that's called Screaming Frog, okay? And Screaming Frog will help you learn, and you can run this. You can have a free version and it'll do up to 500 pages for free. So you can put your website in, run it, and these are the things that you're going to be looking for in it. Let me bring Screaming Frog up here. Whole desktop. Okay, so on Screaming Frog, it's a nice little tool. So mine is a licensed copy, so it'll do thousands of pages, but it's just Screaming Frog. Just Google it and it'll come up. Okay, so, but it's going to help us understand some of the things that we need to do. This is probably one of the leading ways to gauge whether your technical SEO is right or not. And we can run this on anybody's. You guys do asphalt, right? Concrete, cement, concrete. Or what's your web address again? I'm actually going to use yours. I want it to be bad. That's why I picked you out. To be honest with you, I knew it. I remember it's bad, so that's why I'm picking you. Go ahead. What is it? 62. At least they got it with WordPress. All right. Well, at least you got us. That's a step in the right direction, huh? So far we got. All right. Yeah, this is a nice, small, little compact site. So it'll be there is a website there, right? Okay. All right. So we only have the home page and 3 other pages right now. Okay. So that's a problem all in of itself, but let's just, right on the mobile, then it's okay on the website, on the computer, or laptop, or desktop, and not on the realize it's so. Well, that's not uncommon. You usually have to fix that. Okay. All right, there's is going to be at least a reasonable example of this, but I'll all right, so this gives us a lot of the attributes for technical SEO that you would want to have. Oh, I guess we had that from last time. Oh no, mine's on. Okay. All right. So when I look at Screaming Frog and I bring the Screaming Frog up on this 62 SCS site, okay, we're gonna look across this situation, and it's gonna give us the attributes that we're looking at. So we've got title tag, okay, and it's gonna give us the title tags of those pages, and it's gonna tell us about them. So it doesn't say anything about concrete. It says, let us lay the groundwork for your success. So they may be a pre-K, they may be a daycare, they may be a tutor, because it doesn't really say anything. I, I don't, okay, give me that, because now we got to focus again. Now it disconnected this. Okay. Okay, anyway, if you can't see it, I am doing a video, so you can go back and record the video of it, and we can do it that way. But I think the more important things is I want to get to what we're doing here. Okay, so we have our title tag, okay? So where a title tag appears is up in this bar right here. So you see where it says 62 CS SCS? Okay, that's where that title tag comes from, all right? And hers is not on point for what what they're saying. All right, I will show you a good one here in a second, but it's not on point. All right. You need good title tags. They need to have keywords in them. They need to talk about what the page is about, not just locations or portfolio or gallery, or because the thing is, Google has no idea what those pages are about and what they're talking about. And when Google doesn't know what your page is about and what your page is talking about, it doesn't know where or how or what to do to place you in its search engine. So there's 14,000 points it looks for. I think the title tag is probably the most important point that has to be correct. Okay. So now let's look at one that's well written. And I'm going to use my own for a second, not to say that mine, but it's on point. So mine says, and I want to give you all the variations in this. It says Expert Houston SEO Services, Web Design Agency, SEO Houston Web Hosting. Okay. So we have expert, SEO expert. We have SEO services, Houston SEO services, Houston SEO. I have it all in in those first three. I have at least 5 variations of my SEO type keyword. By having web design agency, okay, I also have web design. I have SEO agency. I have another variation of Houston and SEO, and I have Houston for web hosting. I literally can take that, and being that board is there, I can use this board, can't I? So when you write a title tag for you ever play those games where they give you letters and you say, how many letters can you get out? How many words can you get out of the letters? Okay, that's what this is. That's what we're doing here. All right, so if you look at what mine says, you can see it up there on the computer screen. You can see it. But if you look at what it says, I've got expert, SEO services, I have SEO services, I have SEO services Houston. I also have Houston SEO services because Google can flip flop words that way, so it knows to flip flop. I also have Houston SEO, SEO Houston. I've got Houston web design, which I haven't returned here on this line, but I have Houston web designs here. I have web design and SEO. I've got the web design Houston, Houston web design. I've got web hosting, Houston, Houston web hosting. I've got SEO web hosting, which is also another terminology. I have about probably 15 keywords because of how I arrange these words on the screen. Okay, and I wanted things like Houston to be directly next to some of the more important terms, because really for SEO, SEO Houston and Houston SEO are the same words. Okay, they're the most important word. That's what people put in when they're looking for services. So therefore, they become the words that we want to have in and mixed in. Okay, I may change this a little bit and add digital marketing to it in the not too distant future. Just because I think that the industry at large is going to a much broader situation. So I may put the marketing agency where it says web design, and I have the word agency in there, which I didn't write down on our example up on the wall. But when I put the word web design next and the agency there, I'll have marketing agency, so that would be another set of words that would be added. But out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 words, I have covered 15 to 20 key concepts that this website needs to rank on. So does everybody understand? Did you notice the one thing I didn't put there? Anybody see what's glaringly missing? The name of the business, because that's the least important part of any of this. All right. My brand name at this point does not need to be there. If people know me and they put the word vertical web in, I'm going to come up anyway. I've done a good job of brand building. I've done a good job of running my Google My Business. I don't need to take up valuable character spaces, because really you only have a 65 character, not a 65 word, a 65 character limit. Okay. So the other thing is from importance to least importance. So your more important key phrases need to go first. As you get to the end, they should be trailing off and be least important. But good spot that you realized I did not put the keyword. I didn't put the name of the company in the keyword. One other thing that I think I'm going to do, let's see if I can just do this easily. I don't think I can do this easily. I'll have to look at that at some point. I was thinking about putting this live, but I don't know that I can and still capture the screen. So I go for it. What is your web address? Spell that for me. Like that? So let's go. Okay. That's pretty cool. Very slow. Did I spell it right? VAMA VAMNO. I don't spell well in English, let alone in Spanish. Okay. So yours is empowering communities and business. So you are the Houston Food Bank? No. You are the United Way? Okay. You're missing what I'm saying. All right. Does everybody else understand what I'm saying? If I say empowering, These people here in this building that we're renting, they empower businesses and communities too. And we talked to this guy and he's building government housing and he's it wasn't the name of his company, Empowering Communities or something? Yeah, so that is not a good title tag because it does not tell us anything about what this does. Say that again.
That's what it is,
Well, independent doesn't mean anything. All right, so you're saying you're in, because you're doing just events for the Hispanic community?
Social media. So I'm like a media company.
So you're a digital marketing agency, social media agency servicing the Hispanic or Latino community. I mean, that's what that to me would need to say. Now, are you specifically Spanish or are you everything? So you're primarily English. All right. Now, and I don't mean this badly, so if it comes out badly, don't go running in the bad direction, because I don't mean it badly. I would not, as a business owner, I would think you only go to Hispanic organizations.
So typically, yes, amplify language. So.
But I asked you, do you do English or Spanish? And you said do mostly English. Oh, no, I understand that part, but this is not, but you are only primarily appealing to folks that are Hispanic.
Yes, so we're amplifying.
Do you want to paint yourself that far into that corner?
Well.
Or is it a niche so much so that that's why you want to do that? See,
it's a niche, but we're not like, it's kind of like Spanish, right? Like they are for women, but they also have men are welcome here too, right? So it's for the community, specifically the underrepresented community, but we do have Black and white and other ethnicities on our platforms as well.
why are you using the word platform? Why are you using the word platform?
Like we said, to the social media. So I use like Instagram, YouTube.
All right, okay, all right. I just making sure I'm understanding that there wasn't some other thing going on there. All right, I wouldn't even put digital marketing in. I would put your social media agency. That's what you are.
What is the difference then between that and like an independent media company? Because the things that I do are.
United Artists is a independent media company. United Artists is an independent media company. They only make movies. I think that terminology doesn't really, okay. What are people going to put in Google to look for you? They're not going to put an independent media company. They're going to put social media helper near me, social media coordinator near me, Spanish speaking social media person. That's what they're going to put in. They're not going to put anything about an independent. What are you independent of?
From like the mainstream media.
No, everybody's now independent. There is no mainstream media anymore. You see, you know what I'm saying? It really doesn't exist anymore. So as a result, everybody with a podcast is independent. Okay, there's gazillions of. Thank you for laughing. You understand what I'm saying? It's like very serious at me. Everybody's independent. Everybody's independent. So I would not, and nobody's going to go and Google independent anything because they don't. And you're not a media company in the sense that you're a social media agency is what I think I hear you say. So to try to say you're a independent media, no, you're not. Okay. So you make content to do what? A video, put the video on the internet?
Reviews of other like breaking news type things or things that are happening in the community, like on live, like in action. So it's not like.
All right, I have a different question for you. There's this really old profession out there in this world, and it's called a publicist. It sounds to me like you're really a publicist. You're shaking your head, yes.
Tell me no too. Doesn't
Why
have-
would anybody tell you you're not a publicist? But no, I would like to hear why they were saying that.
Because they say, oh, I social media. Yeah, but I don't provide social media service.
No, you provide content. You're a publicist. Go look up Ashley Small. Okay, she's a publicist. She's a publicist. She's a publicist. That's what her job is. She may say she's the social media queen and all the other things, but at the end of the day, the services that she offers, she's a publicist. And what it is about getting publicity. That's what a publicist does, is they get publicity. The reason, I'm not meaning to do like a proctology exam on her, but this is what you need to do. Because sometimes I've said this in previous podcasts and previous things that I've done. When I named my company originally, first of all, I'm very bad at naming companies, so I kind of got fired from that for a while. But then I thought of Vertical Web, so everybody got that. But when I originally named my company, I said we were ACT. I knew I needed what I do in the domain name. So I named it ACTWD Site Hosting, except nobody in the world called it site hosting except us. Everybody called it web hosting. So we would get 7 people a month, and we thought, great, we have 7 new clients this month. We did fantastic. And then what happened is one day somebody called me on the phone and said, do you offer web hosting? And I said, sure we do. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's the word we're supposed to be using, is web hosting. Okay. Well, and the second I went down that road, I went from 7 people a month to 25 people to 30 people a day. So when you call things wrong, or like, there's nothing here that lets me believe that anything that you and I have just talked about, and I have 8 seconds now. Okay. So I have 8 seconds to get that messaging in the door. Did anybody understand before this conversation that she was a publicist? Or does everybody, let's start with this. Does everybody know what a publicist is, or a public relations person? And everybody know what that is? I'm using the word publicist more so in this case because a publicist makes media opportunities. They find you interviews. They find you places to have articles written about you, and they may provide the article or they may provide that content, but that's the job that they do, is they take it to get your brand out there. They do it as a publicist. Okay, so everybody understand? I understand it's like an old timey term to some of you, but that's the right term. No, the publicists do that. Ashley used to write articles for me all the time. She was my publicist, which is why I bring that up. She got me opportunities to be on the news. She got me opportunities to be on podcasts. When we needed an article written, she would write the article and or insert me into an article. She would take several of her customers, ball it up, and make one packageable article and go out and sell it. In essence, that's what you're doing, correct?
I don't know. I like the feedback you're giving me, but I feel like I have, 2 podcasts. I do on the street, interviews. I do breaking news content, so that would to me need more media than versus publicists, because I'm the one that's actually doing the interviews. I'm the one that's.
Mostly everything you see now is pay for play. Okay, so when the guy is the man on the street and they stick the mic in the front of the face on the 6 o'clock news, that person is paid to be that person. Okay, that's what I mean when I mean play for play. This is it's an advertorial type of an industry. Okay, somebody's paying you to place that, or to do that man on the street interview, or to do what you're doing. Okay. Well, partly because we've got to define your business. You can't go, I mean, this is now becoming a business development discussion, and I don't know that I want to fully go down that road. But the thing is, you got to pick the right words. So you're not picking any words that say anything that you do. You're being, and again, I'm very open and just, I'm going to say what's on my own. You have obfuscated it completely, what you're doing with empowering communities and empowering businesses. You're not HL&B. You're not the electric company. You're not, you're not anybody to do that. You're not the, the helping office, the food bank. None of that. What you're doing is you are working to get media pieces placed for your customers, which is a publicist. That's what that career is. You agree with me? You getting it?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Once you finish it, don't take it.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
Go ahead.
Throw mine.
Go ahead. Throw yours up there. What's yours?
Compass at.
Compass Ed. CompassX.org. Okay. So first of all, my first feedback is, are you related to Elon Musk? That would be my first question. Don't know, just saying. It says Compass X. I mean, a guy named his kid X. So I don't know. All right. All right. Let's see. Life skills, learning platform, and coaching and counseling. Tools to navigate life. So you're a coach. Is that right? Okay. So you see this little box up here where it says that? You do counseling and coaching. What kind of counseling are you doing? Are you doing psychiatric counseling or are you doing business counseling? Okay. I would be saying that you do, my title tag for this business would be, personal, professional, B2B coaching and career counseling. Did I get it all in one thing? Because you see it's the same thing as I did on mine. I've got all those words there that can intersperse and work together. So B2B coaching, professional coaching, personal coaching, counseling, personal counseling, professional counseling, B2B counseling. So we've got every variant within that term, but leaving it Compass X is no good because everybody now sees X and really does think Twitter or Elon Musk or whatever I'm trying to say. And yours is interesting because yours is that what I will say about technical SEO is when you don't do it right, it's like a piano that's not tuned right. Okay, so has anybody ever heard of a piano that's not tuned right? It just is kind of sour. What ends up happening is for Google, they look at that and they don't know. So it's no different of if I play name that tune and hit all notes that are not in tune, you'd have no idea what the song is. And that's kind of what this is about. So I look at yours, tools to navigate life. Well, I don't know what that is. And I would spell out TO and not be just, is there a reason you're calling it two? Is it a registered trademark with the number 2? Okay. All right. That's just a little side feedback. Life coaching, booking, life coaching, consulting. See, even here you didn't, and we're going to talk about this too, because even here you didn't put, you're not putting the right things either. Yeah, see. Social media consulting. Yeah, no. All right, so this is all off. This is what I mean when I say technical SEO this is where you've got to have your message clear of what you do. And if you don't have the message clear, nobody knows what you do. You guys, let me do this and move you over here. All right, so yours is I understand it's not, you haven't developed much on this. Huh?
So we never have a website or even on social media just because we've always been working. But then when we started networking, everybody's like, you should have a website on. Put a website. So we never really thought of, yes, because we always had. And I didn't think like, most of my jobs are like, I have to bid for them, so I didn't think this would help me. But then somebody said, no, yes, it would. Maybe I'm just, got it completely wrong. And I didn't think I would generate any, clients or customers through a website.
You would if you did it right. That's the thing. It's, well, no, I know, but I mean, all of you have a similar, and I know that's why you're here, and that is why I run these classes, but all of you have the same similar thing. You have a chicken and egg problem. I don't have any customers because you don't tell them what you do. You don't have any customers because they don't know you're out there because you never did it and you did it by referrals. It's a marketing and all of this becomes very holistic. You have to do everything. Okay. So I get that we have to do everything. So don't misunderstand my thoughts on that. But on the other side of this, you have to do some of these things right. I can't read what your website says. Theoretically, I actually can read it, but it's so hard and it's screaming at me. I'm out the door before I ever even, this header, this can be a header that just says laying the groundwork for your success. Welcome to, and it should say our concrete services lay the groundwork for your success. That's what it should say. And why did I do that? Because I'm sticking the concrete services at the front because that's the job I do. Or instead of for your success, because I don't like your success, I'm successful whether I use your concrete service or not. Okay, so it doesn't, but laying the groundwork for Houston might be more applicable. Because do you do just Houston?
Houston is around.
Well, okay. Houston's 189 miles wide. You do work in Harris County and maybe some of the ancillary edges and Fort Bend. Okay. You're in Houston. I mean, you can say Houston, Richmond, Rosenberg if you want. If it was me, I would start with mastering Houston and then we'll worry about how to get the rest of them. But right now we're not mastering anything. So let's just get where we need to be closest up. Okay. So laying the groundwork, it needs to be concrete services that lay the groundwork for Houston, period. And what that also does is working groundwork and dirt work, because do you do groundwork and dirt work? Okay, so that's a play on that. See, I know about so many industries, this stuff just comes out at me. Laying the groundwork yeah, leave it groundwork because I think dirt work can spin off of that. Okay, all right. For Houston, get rid of success because you're not, unless you're set of a college or a daycare or Montessori school, you're not laying anybody's success. You're making concrete. Okay.
That is so true, that we got somebody else, like we were thinking of hiring somebody else. That person, and I thought in my mind, and this is me not knowing anything, that they were gonna do everything, and I was just gonna come in there and take. No, they said, you give me everything you want, and I'll just put it in there.
All right. Well, that kind of goes back to the last conversation we had about web designers and what you should be getting out of web designers. I'm actually going to start putting a whole series out because I don't think that when you hire a web designer that you should be responsible for the content. I think that the web designer should package the price of the content and the marketing because it's an entire marketing situation. It is not just, I need you to go plug stuff into WordPress because I don't know how to use it, which is what you're describing. You're jumping out of your seat. So I must have touched a note on that one. All right. I need a seatbelt for you because you're about to jump out. So, I mean, I think you have to offer guidance and you have to help people put up the right material because if you don't, then they don't know what they're putting up. But this is part of the problem and the disconnect. And I think I'm going to start putting out videos that talk about what you should do when you hire a web designer because, and I don't know if anybody's out there looking about how do I find one? What do I do? How do I pick one? But I would think after you got burned, you'd be out there Googling, how do I pick one? How do I find one? So on and so forth. Go ahead.
Look up somebody, anything, it ended up at Brand Strategist does graphic design, website design. And she's not.
But the brand strategist also doesn't know SEO. So see, this is where this starts to get a little bit divergent and
Yeah.
on what they know how to do. And I think that these people should know how to do everything. And I don't, I,
She has built the content for me within the brand kit, right? So I'm giving her content, but she's also creating the verbiage and the aesthetics and all of these things to kind of make it make sense, which I was able to do because I'm not typically, that's not my skill set. And so, but that's good to know because even when building things, my website, I did it myself, which I'm not, an expert in that either. So it's good to know that there are certain things to expect or that are needed versus just like.
and I think that's the problem is that the web design community at large, they don't have the linguistic skill, or they go out to Chat GPT, take what you say and repackage it in Chat GPT. And frankly, I'm having to change some of my approach to talking to you guys about that because I'm having to weigh that in now. You cannot go out and put your job in the Chat GPT, put it out there, and then expect to get any kind of measurable traffic back to your website, period, end of story. That's just not going to happen. All right. So as we're talking about this, that's one piece of it. So, but do we all understand title tags? Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is move to headline tags. Okay. So the thing is that a lot of what I'm talking to you about at the moment, some of it is rooted back in the print industry. Okay. So when newspapers were prevalent, okay, what was happening was you would have the biggest headline on the page was at the top of the page, and it was the most important thing that you would say. I often give the example of, the Astros won the 2017 World Series. That was the whole cover of the entire Houston Chronicle when that happened. For those that are a little older in the room, Dewey beats Truman. We've all seen President Truman holding the newspaper that said Dewey beats Truman because they printed the newspaper before the election was done being counted. So they put out, the New York Times literally put out the wrong headline on the page, but it was the whole page. It was the whole page. Those are what is called an H1. Okay. They're the largest, they're the most prevalent, they're the largest H tag that's on the page. Okay. They should be reserved for the most important thing on the page. All right. And what the most important thing on the page is what you do. Okay. So I told you to put your counseling, your personal and business peer counseling and consulting and coaching. I gave you the order of the words to put there. That should be the very first thing that comes. So when I look at your website, I see it says Compass X, navigating life. Now, the first thing I think, are you the skipper on Gilligan's Island? But I don't know. I can't tell. All right. I mean, you might be, I don't know what you're navigating. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're offering, but what you've told Google is you have tools, number 2, navigate life. Okay. I don't know that you actually have tools because the word tools are like hammers and screwdrivers. And to Google, I understand tools may be the way interpersonal communications is a tool. Okay. I understand that. Okay. But the question is, does Google understand that interpersonal communication is a tool? Okay. So I don't know that I would be, you may be building interactions. I may use a little bit more, helping personal, and actually helping businesses, personal and professional intercommunications is actually probably a little bit better than tools to navigate. Now, I understand why you're doing navigate because of Compass, and that's okay, but your whole thing here doesn't explain any of it. I have to really concentrate really way too hard. I have 8 seconds. So Google has seconds. This has seconds. Now Google's coming in and mathematically scoring a page, for lack of a better way to say it. So when I come here and I say tools to navigate life, I have no idea what that is, but you're screaming at it just like it's Dewey beats Truman or the Astros won the World Series. I don't know what that means. Now, when I say Astros won the World Series, is anybody confused by that statement? Everybody in the room knows what happened when I said the Astros won the World Series, right? And when I say, even if you don't, not a history fan, if I say Dewey beats Truman, and you're like, wait up a minute, President Truman was the president, and there wasn't a President Dewey, at least I would understand somewhere that that must be a screwball example of something, right? Okay. All right, so you only are to have one H1 tag, not multiples. Because you can't scream multiple things. Astros win, Dodgers lose. Okay, they say the same thing. So which is it? Are we a Dodger person or are we an Astros person? Okay, we're an Astros people. So we just need to say the Astros won and we don't care who they beat. Okay, so I don't need to bring that secondary information in and to have two screaming things. I just need one screaming thing. So everybody with me on that? Okay. All right. So, you only are going to have one. So if I come back to mine, you see what I did on mine is SEO and digital marketing, web design, web hosting. That's the only H1 on my page is that line there. And you notice I used the pipe. So Google understood there was a break. Okay. Because some of my services are not always localized, I did not put the word Houston in there. If you guys are only servicing Houston, I'm gonna say I would have put the word Houston in there. Okay, but I'm not only servicing Houston. What's interesting is my discussion I had with you about Houston. Houston's one of the weirdest places on earth. Okay, because it's 184 miles across or around or whatever the heck it is. And I may say Richmond, not Richmond. I may say the Heights. I may say Kingwood. I may say Spring. They're all in Houston. They're all parts of Houston. They don't have their own mayors. They're all unincorporated areas. For Google's purposes, they don't understand local and city and governments. And even now, Kingwood, which is literally part of the city of Houston, even though there's about a 25-mile gap between the city and Kingwood itself. Even Google now is calling it the Kingwood section of Houston. Okay. So you're always best to go. Now, if I was selling septic services or brake repair and I was in Aldine, I would put Aldine because nobody's going to drive across Houston to get their brakes repaired. They're going to go to the closest brake or a dentist, unless, you had an attachment to that dentist. But when somebody's looking for help, they're usually looking in a small radius. So if you're a small radius company, I might say use Aldine, use Spring, use the Heights, where are you? Use Memorial, use River Oaks. I mean, you can do that if that's where you're confined. Dentists, lawyers, doctors, auto mechanics, restaurants would be another one. But if that's not what you are, and you need, so like you're going to tell me, well, I do some of Houston and I do some in Richburg. That's way too much conversation for this small little, you're in Houston. Let's just stop right there. Okay. All right. So we're going to only have one H1, and just like the title tag, it needs to be well thought out, well placed, and well planned. None of you, like you now have upcoming events in a swirling bar. Nowhere do you say what you do. So what I now look like, I'm wondering, are you trying to be a TV station? Are you like your own YouTube? Is that what you're trying? Because that, when I look at this, I would have thought, well, we have events, we've got this going on. I don't really know what we're doing. There's no clear message. More problematically, there's no clear message to the end user what you do. Not only is there not a clear message to Google what you do, now sometimes I see these websites that they don't send a clear message to Google, but as a human being, you look at it and you understand what's going on. Okay. That's a common problem I see, which is, I have seen home health workers that say, we're compassionate freedom givers. And there's a picture of them helping with an old person on a TV. on a page, okay? I understand why they're saying that, because if you're if you're a caregiver, a child that's, or, like your parent is an elderly parent, you're giving help, you would like to have somebody that's compassionate that can come in. So I understand the message optically when I look at it, but Google doesn't understand the message. In your case, you're completely devoid of it. In her case, I actually kind of think we can get what she's doing from this, even though Google has no idea what she's a good example of that dichotomy of, I understand what she's doing, but Google has no clue because we've got all this mixed up signals on it. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, or headlines that you're talking about, I know you're talking about in general, but I'm saying like, when you, do the headline tags, you, obviously that's gonna give a clear message of exactly what you do as well, right? Versus just the title tags.
Say that again for
So
me.
the,
This one up here? Okay.
that one's also exactly what.
Yeah, so it's the old, looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it must be a duck. So if it walks like a duck and walks like, and talk, and quacks like a hippopotamus, and, Google has no idea. So you want, all these boxes need to match. They don't need to be exactly verbatim. So if you look at mine says expert SEO. You notice digital marketing is not up in here. Okay, but it may end up, but if you notice, I've got SEO, digital marketing, web design, web hosting. I will also go as far to tell you as my services tab are in the same order. Because everything is in the same order. SEO, web design, web hosting. I am consistent in every piece of my website that I'm sending the same message across the board. Okay. That's what I commonly see small business. Anybody else want to give me a website? I'm really kind of looking for one that's kind of like Afro. What's yours again? It's what?
Total is KITO boutique.
KITO is in Thomas.
Yes. Okay.
So you're Peter Rabbit. All right. Okay, you took what I said is somewhere along the line and actually put a reasonable title tag in. All right, yeah, all right. So you see, she did this part right. Now you did this part wrong. Because it says Easter collection. Where's the rest of everything here? Is there something missing there? Is it just me? What? Slider is missing, but whatever's on that slider is not here because I can move my mouse and I don't see it. So something's wrong with what's there, and then the writing on it is not right. Okay, so she's been here a couple times. She at the very least, has been listening and tried to put a good title tag on this. And it's actually not, as I'm saying, it's not really bad. It's a little wordy, but it's not bad. Change those hyphens to pipes. All right, but what you're missing now is, okay, so I've got the title part right, but I don't have the rest of everything right. Yeah, I don't have the rest of this right. Because Google's going to look at this page. There's nothing else other than this title tag that tells Google what they do. Now I can see Easter collection and their girls' dresses, which does support this, but it doesn't say, it just says Easter.
Is it a boutique?
Yeah. Here's another. All right, this is a good example. Unique and trendy designs. Are you an architect? No, it's very vague. And then I come down here and it says explore our connection or collection of unique and stylish designs. Oh. Explore a collection of unique and stylish designs for girls, toddlers, and babies. You know, planes, trains, and automobiles. All right, but none of these. So what she's got is a title tag here that tells everybody what it is. She's a step up, but then she screams Easter collection at them. The other thing I'm going to kind of say is that you don't want to be changing that a lot. You want to get them to get the right hook in on what this is. And then once they have the right hook, call it a day. Don't keep changing that. If you want to have changeable things underneath it, have changeable things. Well, here, let me show you. Let's do this one. Let's bring this one up. So this one here, okay, you see how we have cleanly, we have what they sell, chairs, outdoor, looks happy. And then it says shop our outdoor poly furniture, because that's what they sell. And I will never have to change that line. So, that's the most important piece on the page, if you will. So that's the way, and like this one, outdoor patio furniture sale, you know, so, or outdoor patio furniture, because that's what they sell is outdoor patio furniture. They don't sell indoor patio furniture, they sell outdoor patio furniture. So all these headlines, outdoor furniture to suit any lifestyle, they all support what this website does. Does everybody kind of see how this one is not, it's not as cluttered, but at least it. Okay. And then here's all the SEO effort on the bottom because it's got the chairs, the benches, the rope chairs, and those are. So if I take this and I stick this in my Screaming Frog tool, and I honestly, this went live yesterday and I haven't gone through and SEO'd it yet, which I need to do, but hold on. All right, so if I go to the page title is Outdoor Poly Furniture. Okay, because that's what this is outdoor poly furniture. Poly furniture gets through like a lot of searches. So that's why that says that. And then when I come over into the H tags, all right, I'm going to have to go back and tell the staff to fix it because see what they did? They went and said, enjoy 10% off. It's pulling up the header and not the, it's pulling up the, whatchamacallit thing and not what it needs to pull up. So we're going to have to go back and work on that piece of it. Okay. Because you can't have it say enjoy 10% off. So even us kind of off your first order, it's pulling it off the pop up and not off the slider that says that they sell chairs and furniture. So that's a good example. If I hadn't have put it in this tool, I'm not sure that I would have found it, but this is a great example of something that's not necessarily written right. So does everybody understand why I'm saying that? And even though if you looked at it aesthetically, you would think that it's right here, what it does is it's popping up a box with a coupon, 10% off your first purchase. And it's not, it's pulling that and it's not pulling the stuff off the page right. So I'm going to have to go back now because it's sending a bad signal. So I'm going to have to go back and look at that and see what we have to do to fix it. So that's a great example of, you know, even if it looks right, sometimes it's not right and you need to stick it in Screaming Frog because I can see right there that it's not in good shape. The next one over I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at our H2 tags. Our H2 tag says shop your own outdoor poly furniture. Great. That's really what I wanted to say is your poly furniture. And then there's another one that says shop outdoor furniture for sale. Now on an H2, which is a little bit smaller and a little less important, you can have multiples. That's not a problem to do that. All right. Whereas the H1 has to exclusively be one line. That's it. One and done. The rest of them can be multiples, but what I would not recommend is having multiple H2s and then having multiple H3s and multiple H4s, and then just making a big mess. Be really pointed in what you do and think about it this way. So when I do this, I'm actually like, it's not an amount of the H2s, the H3s, they just need to be ordered. So I'll do the history buff, so we're just gonna do it this way, okay? So we're gonna say wars of the 20th century, which would be World War One. That would be an H2. World War Two. That would be an H2. Korea. So we have the next choice, and this is how you kind of can lay this out a little bit, okay? But our next choice may be who fought the war or the battle. We can pick one or the other, okay? But let's go with who fought one. So this is gonna be, Germany. Actually, let me do this right. Have H3, and then we're gonna put US, and that's gonna be H4, we're gonna put England, H4, France, H4, Austria. Everybody recognizes this is an outcome. And so you have this, so wars of 20th century. Year H1. Okay. World War One, H2, Allies, H3, and then the Allies listed under it, and then I guess I think they were Axis. One, but now when I get to World War II, there's two theaters. So now I have to pick, do I want to keep the same alignment? Or do I want to include, and we're going to include the two theaters. Okay, so we're going to have Europe. Say allies. H4. And then when we get down to US, Germany, or Great Britain, I think that they have some strong number. You everybody understand what I'm doing and why I'm saying that? Okay. Every page you do has to have the same type of thought process. Every single page. Your website in total has to have that. Okay? But every single page also has that. And you have to think about that down each page, because if you don't think about this down each page, you're not sending the right signals. And then you have 10%, like I do in purpose, and I printed it on the line yesterday, so it's not like it's been around for 8 years. Okay, but does everybody understand why I'm making the decisions, why I'm making them, how I'm making them? Okay, because how many times did I break it down? How many times did I break it down? And you notice I'm using keywords each and every time I did that. Okay, none of these are non-keyword rich. I'm not saying, and you see, I said access and the allies. I didn't say good guys, bad guys. All right, you see, I mean, it would have been easy to say good guys, bad guys. All right. I mean, if I was in Germany, then you say we're the bad guys, and they're the good guys, so we don't know good guys, bad guys, but the access and the allies, that we're saying it that way on purpose. Does that Makes sense. Yes? Okay. So, I think you have to do this on every page you get. That's just my personal opinion. I'm also going to say. Something else here as well. You need to do that on your site at large. And I'll come back to that in a second. Does everybody understand how I'm properly using, and those should be keyword rich or questions. So what I mean when I say that is if I come down, I'm just going to randomly pull this page here. You notice my very first H2 on mine is why SEO is important for your business, because I wanted a question there. So I have my paragraph, qualified traffic, lead generation, brand awareness, good keywords. Now I have national and local SEO services. I stuck the word leader so it made sense. SEO services, national SEO services, content creation. Notice that if I took away all the other words and the graphics, you would still know what I did. So everybody get that I can take the words away and this page still makes sense just based on headlines. All right, we should be trying to do that. And that's just this page. So that's what this page has on it, okay? I think that you need to really look at this and see how this is and make sure that you've outlined it this well, all right? And I can come down it, that's an H2, H3, 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 H2, H3, H3, without running this through a checker. I can tell you exactly what I did because I wrote the page. All right. So that's these title tags and your H tags are probably the two most important things that people mess up in the flubs that people make. All right. So as I say that, go ahead. Oh, well, just like I did on the garden site. And I kind of bought that, like you need a thing that says, custom design girls clothing or stylish and unique girls clothing. That's what it needs. And then say, because you're the designer on it too, right? I personally would say, I started to design girls' clothing. Notice like I worked the words girl clothing because I couldn't find something that was unique and stylish for my kid. So I saw a need in the marketplace and I started it. And it would just be a small little paragraph. And then underneath that, you can have your, Easter, instead of an Easter collection, I'm sorry, Easter eggs are an Easter collection. All right. So we don't have collections. What we have is Easter dresses and outfits for girls. That's what mine would say. Now, do I understand that Easter collection is something that you might see somewhere? Yes. I personally would put my overall what I do up at the top. I mean, I would say toddler or girls, toddler, unique and whatever. And then I would put dresses, play suits, and jumpers or whatever you have. I don't know what the pants, whatever, but I would put it that way. And then go to Easter collection because that's going to change because next you're going to be telling me we're going to have the spring collection and then we're going to have the summer collection. But at the end of the day, and if you think about it, how do people want to shop, right? People want to shop for what they want. So I gave them the stuff that they have right here. I'm not making them scroll down. So you see, I have what I sell, then I have what's on sale, then I start with the collections, the seasonal collections. And you may want to call it seasonal clothing collections. I don't know if I really want to do that or not. I'd have to see some data to do that. But basically what you're doing is a seasonal. And then we have, we've got outdoor furniture collections and this needs to say furniture sets. Is what I'm going to actually tell the customer that I really want this to go back to is it's going to say sets. I'm sorry, my phone just keeps ringing with stupid people. They're like literally spammers, not real people. I'd say spammers are people too, but they're usually AI people now, so they're not really helpful. So that I would try to work some of that in. And like, I'm going to take this why our outdoor furniture, I'm going to actually move that up. So that makes a statement a little bit about it more so. But I think what I'm saying is I'm trying to put stuff that the people who use. So if I come here, people will use this. They're never going to scroll down. So they may hit the sale box, they may hit this box, but they're not going to keep scrolling down through this. I know that. Or if they do, they just do this and they go, okay, there's nothing here. And then they go back to where they are. So we actually have a camera on this website that tells us what each visitor does. I actually have every visit recorded so I can see. So that's why I'm kind of saying, I know they scroll. We need to put under that they will. I would put your more permanent things here and then put play suits, dresses, jumpers, short sets, whatever I'd only put 3 or 4. I wouldn't put much more than that. I wouldn't come up with socks and, I wouldn't do all of that. I would just put the basics of, what is some, and most people that are looking for toddler clothing that's unique and stylish pretty much are looking for play sets, rompers, that kind of dresses, and maybe have accessories if you have hats or something like that. But that's what I would be doing. Okay. So just the order is extremely important, but understand that because the order is important, I'm utilizing the right words in the right spaces because that is as important as it is. All right, so do we all understand what I'm saying so far on, because if you walk away with nothing else but those 2 items, you're winning. That's, to me, that's winning. Okay, go ahead.
So, but then you're gonna have the headline is going to correspond with what's on your website. And then the H2, the secondary headlines are also gonna correspond with the things that are on your website to connect those dots. Whether it's regular, so it's very, exactly what you're trying to say, or not generic terms. And that is how the SEO is going to kind of,
That's the first piece of this, yes. The next thing we're going to talk about is the structure of the website. I'm glad they gave us a whiteboard because when they give you a whiteboard, it makes my life a little easier to be able to do this. So, okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the navigation. And what I mean is this here. Like, so she has this all in the way wrong order because I don't care who you are. I don't mean to be, I don't mean that negatively to you. I don't care 1 iota about what you do or who you are. Tell me what you do first. Always first and foremost, tell me what you do. Then tell me who you are. Because if you tell me who you are, okay, great. Now you tell me what you do. All you've done is aggravated me because you just took all this time up and people are looking for this. Google's looking for this in the right order. All right. So I've got home, take the home button off because there's no reason to have home. Your logo's the home. Everybody in America, yep, it's hooked up. I was gonna say it's not hooked up, but it is. Okay, everybody in America knows if you want to go back to the home page, you just have to go hit the word home, the logo, and you'll go back to the home page. That's pretty standard. It wasn't standard back 100 years ago when this all started, but now really it's only been 20, but well, who's counting? 30, I guess 30. All right, but who's really counting? So I get rid of the home button. Next thing, what is the next most important thing I want to tell somebody? Yes, and what might those be called? Yes, okay, except we're not going to call them services. We may call them publicist services. We may call them, in your case, we may call them content creation services. Okay. The inclination, it would be to call it opportunities because you make opportunities. Please don't call it opportunities. Okay, it's too vague. In her case, you're telling me about concrete. Okay, I asked you about dirt work. Okay, you do that. You do land clearing, I'm assuming. Okay, so I'm gonna put this one up here. All right, so this one is done pretty well, okay? So this is asphalt paving, concrete, site prep. All right, why did we do that? Yes, that is one of the reasons I did it. What I want everybody to do, and I've done this when I did this for HCC, I actually passed out really big pieces of paper and told everybody to do this. I would tell you to go home and do it, and everybody should do this through your website. Okay, so you have your home page. Right? And then what I want to do is I would want to say, what are my services? Now, if I have one set of services that are similar, I may just put, if I was just doing web design, okay, I might put not only abbreviations, you don't have to do that. Okay. If that's what I did. Anything more than that, I would want to then think about what that looks like. Down on the end, we should always have contact us. We should always have blog. This space here is a little bit safer. If you have one type of service that you do that's not materially different than everyone else, and should say dental service. What am I? Girls, shop girls for the country. Because if you just put shop, you could be a shop that for a while. Again, I'm saying these things that like hyperbolically so that you understand that by not putting a description on it, Google has no idea. So I'm coming up with the most technical things that actually makes sense so that you understand that these things, without those antecedents, the words before them, Google has no idea. All right, so as we take these three here, okay, I now have a base on that. So I may say general dentistry, may come down to crowns, root canals. Okay, cosmetic, maybe implants. Sure, maybe veneers. Right? Every one of you need to do a line map on your website. Now, you see, I have all the services under this one. Okay. Mine is 3 separate sites. The construction, concrete, asphalt, and dirt works are 3 completely. She only does concrete, she doesn't do asphalt. So that's why when we laid that site out, I laid out 3 separate trees for it. If this, the dental services, they're all dental services, but let's say they did dental services and holistic wellness and relaxation or med spa type stuff. Then I have dental services and I would have med spa. And then I would put more services underneath it. But you gotta break this out and do it this way. The other thing we're gonna talk about is, if you notice, every one of those that I picked have a keyword attached to them. Does that make sense? Okay. And because they have a keyword attached to them, Google understands that layout. I don't know why my phone keeps going off for weird stuff, but it just needs to stop now. Okay. So I am taking what I need and I'm breaking a map out for that, because that map and that navigation is what drives the bus. So I have my title tag, has all my keywords in it. Agree? I have my H tags and has all my title tags in it, or all my keywords in it. Agree? And then I have my navigation and it has all my keywords in it and all the services that I offer in a way that work. They all balance each other. And I'm going to go as far as to tell you is that everything I have is in the same order. I don't change and just move stuff around and have things out of order. I keep it in the order that I did it. So whatever I put it in my title tag, it's the order. So if you look here, we've got asphalt, we got concrete, we got dirt work. I got all three here represented. I have all three represented in the title tag. I have all three represented here. And then, oh, by the way, I have them all represented down here. Okay, asphalt paving, concrete paving, all site preparation. Okay. So these are the ways that these things need to be put together. So that becomes another aspect. What I will tell you is 99% of the world does this wrong. In one way, shape, or form, 99% of websites do this wrong. And when you do all of it wrong, you're not ranking at all. If you do some of it wrong, you have a better chance. If you're a dentist, you have to do way more right as a dentist than you can do wrong. Okay. If you're a lawyer, you have to do way more right than you can do wrong. If you're a commercial cement contractor or concrete contractor, we may have a little bit of ladderability in how much I can do wrong because it's not as competitive. But it's still pretty competitive. And I'm going to say that you need to make sure that you're having it right. If you're a publicist, you have a whole different set of challenges, because now you're competing against people that actually know what they're doing and can generate and do it. So you have to do the bar for you. So I get people that ask me this question quite a bit. Why doesn't Walmart do this? Well, is anybody here Walmart? All right, I'm just checking, making sure Walmart's not in the room. Okay. But the reason I say that is because they have a lot more forgiveness on what they can do wrong because they're Walmart. All right. Yeah, that's one way to say it. But as far as Google searches, they have millions and millions and millions of backlink links and mentions all over the internet. They're always going to come out to be the first place. Okay. They're always going to win the day. And if they win the day, that's always going to work out better. So I'm going to say, I have a much higher bar on doing things right than GoDaddy does. You know, GoDaddy has millions of links. They can do whatever they want. I'm me. I can't do what GoDaddy does. Now, do I have a bigger brand than most digital marketing agencies in Houston? Yes. Do I have a bigger brand nationally than most places? Yes. Do I have a brand big as GoDaddy? Absolutely not. Okay. So when I have to, so I'm telling you the right way to do it, and I'm giving you the most accurate way to handle these things for a small business that does not have the brand awareness that's needed to come in and support some of this stuff. Okay. And if you do this right and you start to work this right, you will start to see stuff happen. Now, what I'm going to tell you is, You need a page for every one of those things I just told you. Every one of those that are on there, I need a page for. All right. And those pages have to follow the same examples that I'm giving you for the homepage. Okay. So I see I have general and I have all the drop downs under general, all the ones that I have. I have laser. See, I have all the drop downs for laser. I have cosmetic. You see that they're all on the drop downs on every single one of them are on the drop downs of what I have. And then when I go to the general dentistry page, now this is how you put a page together right, okay? See that outline? Remember I told you to build an outline. This is why you need an outline, because it becomes a Bible. You know, this podium thing needs to get off of here. Now there it is. Okay. So I have my general dentistry page. Does anybody, before I scroll down and show you what's on this page, anybody want to tell me what should be on that general dentistry page? All of these items here that are sub pages of general dentistry should be on this general dentistry page. So when I come down and I look, got dentures, bridges, crowns, fillings, implants, root canals, and I have them all, and then I have them all interconnected, but I'm not super worried about that at the moment. But if I write a page about general dentistry, it should encompass everything that I put on my drop-down menu. So because you would write the general dentistry page first, okay, you need to know what all those little danglers are before you can write that page. Does everybody understand what I just said? You don't. I can see you don't. Anybody? I see the face. Anybody else? You understand? You don't understand either? You understand? Okay.
All the drop downs are gonna be on those pages, the words, the verbiage. all
But
that.
on the general dentistry page itself,
Yes.
all of the things that are on this drop down need to be represented. If you don't pre-build this, you're not going to build your general dentistry page right because you don't know what those things are. So you have to build that map that says, I know I need to cover fillings. I know I need to cover dentures. I need to cover dental bridges. I need to cover sealants. I need to cover crowns. I need to cover emergency dental care. I need to do all these things. All right. And write that page, even though these pages don't exist yet. Okay? Yes.
Well, so, for instance, if, for me particularly, it would be my services, and my services were PR services. And then that verbiage on those drop down would be then, like, say, content creation, marketing, maybe networking, I don't know if it's too big. But then those also terms would be on those pages or.
We're going to write individual pages for those, but this needs to be almost like a table of contents page that embraces all the things you have. So if you don't do what I'm telling you, which is build a map first, you can't build this page because you don't know what would be on this page. You would write a stupid page that just talked about, hey, we do general dentist. If your teeth hurt and you need blah, 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 we're going to come in. All right. No, it needs to be a pointed page that says this is the services that we offer and these are, and break it out. So if you go back on my site here, all right, I have all the pieces for local SEO services and I knew what I wanted to say. So we've got optimization, we've got citations, we've got online optimization, backlink management, localized content creation, keywords and categories, reviews, management, and conversions, okay? I need to write the right information here so that I can then go build a page that talks about how keywords and categories are important for localized pages and what they should look like and how they work and how they interact. If I don't do that, if I don't know that that needs to be part of the page, then I don't know to write the page. And because I don't know how to I don't write the page. Therefore, I don't know what the next thing on the page should be. And if I go here, I think this one is not complete, and I think that's actually a good thing. So you see I have on page, I have local, I've got technical, I've got keyword research, link. Okay. And if you look at this menu here, you'll see I only have SEO services, local SEO, social media, and content marketing. It's because I haven't gotten around to building the rest of these pages, but this is all here. So I have the footprint to handle and cover whatever I need to cover based on this page, even though I haven't written those other items yet. I know what I want pages on, and because I know what I want pages, I've already written them in, even though they're not on that drop down. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Because this is really important. You're shaking your head yes. The rest of you is good? Yeah? Okay. All right. So your navigation needs to be spot on. When I get to this SEO services page, I don't know if you've noticed this, but let me point this out too. Those pages link off this menu. They link from inside this menu as well. All right. So when I come, when these pages are actually built, if you look, the local SEO page is built, that is hot and goes to the local SEO page. If I click on the local SEO page, I want to show you the other thing that I've got going on here. So this is the local SEO page. And when you come all the way down, you see I have related categories and pages. So pages that are related to each other. It's because what's happening is it allows Google to say these pages are together, and it builds basically mini websites inside itself. So those pages all support each other. And anybody that knows that you have a support group, right? You have a group of friends. If you only have one friend, you have all your eggs are in one basket. But if you have a lot of friends and you have multiple support systems, those pages get stronger. When I used to explain this, I used to talk about the beach houses in Galveston, that they're on cement blocks. The more cement blocks you add, the higher up it goes. It's kind of the same concept here. The more of these pages that I add underneath, I support my main topic page, because what I want, the page that I want to rank in Google is this page here. So when you put in SEO services for my company, it's this page here that ranks. It's not a subpage. Okay, it's very important. And I don't want people landing on my homepage. To be quite honest with you, if they're looking for web design, they need to land on a web design page. If they're looking for SEO services, they need to land on an SEO services page, period, end of story. I don't need them trying to figure out where they're supposed to go off my homepage and try to figure out how to get there. Because when they do that, chances are they get lost. Remember, I told you got 8 seconds to make an impression, correct? So if I only have 8 seconds, I've got a big problem, because all right. Say that again. No, I'm talking about internal links. All right, I'm talking about internal links. I think, and again, this is a lot of years of experience talking at you. There is people out there that will argue this with me vehemently. Okay, so I'm going to say that up front. I think if you have a really good, strong internal linking system and it's set up right and everything is, you can actually offset not having external links. Okay, so external links are hard to get. And although this is not a linking class, I'll just mention you need a backlink. So like we've got a link from these guys because we're doing this class here. So I have a link now from Shesh over to my website. So Google says, hey, Shesh voted for you. All right. Any website that makes a link to you votes for you. You don't want to be voting for other people. So I am not of an outbound link persuasion. I've never been that way. But especially when I teach these classes, everybody wants to make links. Please don't make links. But those are votes. And the more links you accumulate, the more powerful you become. But if you do what I'm saying, which is organize these pages and connect these pages right, your internal links make a domain authority or a page authority for a page because I have so many internal links pointing to it. And I'm keeping them all together on a silo or encapsulate them. Okay. I understand it's a little bit more, this is a little bit, at some point, I'm just going to have a navigation building discussion of how to do all this. But that siloing and assembly, if you do it the way I'm saying to do it, it lets those pages have authority, but you're doing it off your own internal website as opposed to, let me give you an example. I have this website here. This is a pretty new website, okay? It never had been used, doesn't have any backlinks. It's a pretty weak website. So I have this whole homes for sale in Kingwood, okay? And it's got the neighborhoods on it. I need to put a submenu here. That's what I was just checking. All right, but if I go, all right, if I do that and I put that in, I'm just gonna stop right here because that's the right search term for it. All right, I've got 1, 2, 3. All right. This baby website that has no authority and no ranking is sitting at number 2 on the second page, which that doesn't make me jump up and down and say I'm happy about that. But what's driving it is this interconnection. Ironically, this particular search term, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 websites, if I count this, on the first page because each of them are individual separate clients. So the fact of the matter is we're ruling this term pretty much based on the way we assembled the website because the thing that we're up against is HAR. All right. So, and being up against HAR is difficult. But my point to you guys is this, is that by assembling all these together, and if you go back and we look at this thing, this is a textbook as to what it should say. All right. It's because of this menu, how it's put together. And when I go to the Barrington page, I come all the way down. Where the heck is it? See, I have a whole right up here on Barrington. And then I have all the other homes for sale in Kingwood, and they're all interconnected. And because they're all interconnected, they all are supporting each other and pushing themselves forward. I think that as this one gets more of these pages of this drop down of all the communities in Kingwood, I think as it gets more of them, you're going to see this one's going to and land up on the front page as well. All right. So that's only one search term. It's doing it on hundreds of terms because of how I'm structuring it. Because technically these websites, when we build them, they're very sound because they're put together and they're assembled in an interconnected way that Google understands these things go together. These things are one and the same. These things are, I want to do it that way. I wanted to go this way. So you can see that I have a page. It talks about who these are. It gives exclusive information. It has a whole set of subtopics on it, and then I link them all together. And any one of these pages, I think if I do it here too. I think they're all this way, to be honest with you. Okay, so I've got Redfin. All right, I have more, we have more competition on Elm Grove. That's interesting. Tammy. And if you notice, it's the same people that are attached, right? They're all somewhat the same people that are involved here. See, this one's on that term, it's on the second page. So it's just I just got to work to move these to the front page. But how I'm going to do that is these interconnecting. So more of these pages I put up, the more power the Elm Grove page has, it then goes forward and gets pushed to the front page of Google. All right, so is everybody understanding how this works? Everybody understanding what we should be doing? Okay. The next thing, let's see, we've talked about. Next thing I want to talk about briefly, I don't want to go into a big elaborate discussion of this if I don't have to. When you build your page and your title tag, you also need to put a good solid meta description on it, okay? So, and what does that mean? It means we need to have, and in fact, I've got to kind of go back and I'm going to have to address this too. It should have, and in fact, let me pull my own site because it'll be easier. I think it's got okay. So if you look, we know that our title tag says expert Houston SEO services, blah, blah. We talked about that, right? The next thing I go over is I look for, it says looking for a expert Houston-based company that provides, what it's going to say is comprehensive web solutions, look no further. Because what I did is I'm wrapping keywords and I'm making description. This little description is what appears in a search listing under the website. So if I go to my web browser, you see, I have Vertical Web provides web hosting, web design, SEOs companies to companies around the world. They gypped this out of the page is how they did this. They actually took it. They didn't like mine as much. So they made their own up. Okay. So, and this is, I actually need to go fix this too, because this needs to be edited as well, really. I'm trying to change the address because we had to move to Woodway. Anyway, so you see, we have our listings here and they're taking these paragraphs. So if you write a really good paragraph, what's going to happen is they'll keep your paragraph. If they don't like the paragraph that they wrote, they're going to go ahead and replace it with what they think. But you should never leave it blank because I don't ever want to leave Google up to their own devices on any of this kind of stuff. All right. Now, what I did, and you notice I don't have one on your on the contact us. There's some of these pages I didn't bother to put one on, and that's okay. But I did do it on the ones that I needed to optimize and the pages that were important. All those ones that live under the dental services page should have a description written on them. Okay. I think that's another big piece of what needs to be done. Let me see, what else do we need? Oh, this is a good one. Duplication. I see this a lot too, okay, especially on stores. If I have a chair, the title tag says chair, and the next chair page says chair, and the next page says chair. What they are is duplicated title tags. You cannot have duplicated title tags. Every page should have a unique title tag. So you never want to duplicate that. You never want to duplicate the description, because they'll penalize you for not having unique title tags on every page. Okay. So every page should have one or have none. I'm going to say everyone should have one at least. I mean, you guys don't have the experience basically to decide. It's interesting. We've got a lot of pages that I'm gonna have to go and change the address on. I keep changing them, but they're not letting them stick. Anyway, sorry, I just happened to see that go by. All right, so duplication is a big problem. Oh, and the other thing I want to talk about is the footer of a website, because I think I see this wrong too. This one was wrong, so I want to see if it got fixed. All right, it's a little bit better. All right, so your footer of your website needs your address and preferably a map to your business. And it needs to be a Google generated map to your business. You need to put a Google generated map to that business on this footer. That's what's, huh? I don't see it on this. Is it? Oh, it's up here, but it needs to still be in the footer. Need a little tiny baby one in the footer, like I have here. You have a service area. So what you're going to do is, if you notice what I did here is we pulled the addresses, we put in the Google My Business profile, and it pulls the map location. If you have a service area, it'll pull the service area. All right. So if you have an address on Google My Business, it'll give it to you. If you're working off a service area and you have filled that out to be a service area, it will pull just the service area. You have a storefront? But yours is national, huh? I'm going to say no. You knew that was coming, right? I did it on mine because Google thinks web design, SEO, and web hosting are all local. They're really not. I mean, you can hire me in Timbuktu and to do SEO. I don't need to be sitting in the zip code to have it work. But actually, none of those services. But they seem to class them as local businesses, and therefore that's why I have it. So even though I can rank nationally and service people nationally, I have people all over the globe, I can't do it because of this. So I had to go in and localize some of it, or I would never rank locally. And that was the way, that's where the lion's share of the traffic is. So that becomes that situation. No, you should know. Well, you need an address to show, shoot. Because you don't have you don't have a place at all, right? It's your house. Put your social media and let's see, and a phone number. Make sure there's a phone number. Mostly because people don't like to do business with people that don't have an address, because if they have to return it, are you fly by night? Are you stealing their money? You know, that kind of a problem. But yeah. All right. Do we have any questions? Because we're now at the end. You have not said one word. Do you have any questions?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It is my first time here, and.
Well-
I'm new, but I have my, homepage, and I think so, I'm doing everything wrong, because it's my first time, but I'm trying to catch up.
All right, so let me tell you something, and this goes for all of you. I got 3 of you that have been here before. You've never been here before, right? You have? No, I mean her.
No.
You know, all right. So what I want to say is this, it usually takes 6 months to even understand what the heck I'm saying. All right, so to even understand, is it getting a little bit clearer now that I'm saying, you guys that have been here a couple times, you kind of are getting a better feel for it, right? So you're halfway through the 6-month period, I think. I know you've been here 3 times. I know you might have only been here 2 times. All right, so they're doing a little bit better because they're a little bit ahead because they've now had to put up with me for 6 whole hours. Okay, so don't worry that if it seems like I am literally Google's a fire hose. Okay, to understand Google is drinking from a fire hose, and well, don't make a face. You just have to learn how to drink through the fire hose. You can ask me anything.
Okay, when you have a business or you have an address like an office or something like that, or just.
Service area. You can have a service area, and then you just tell it all the zip codes that you are in.
Yeah, because, we start a business, but we don't have anything.
No, that's okay. You can use a service area. They've come up with it. You'll have to put a base address, which may be your home address, but you can tell it, don't show it. And this is the area we service.
Is there any chance here after?
All right. I didn't hear what you said. One more time.
Is there any chance after the class, like, in a few minutes, I need to tell you about, because we want to make, a website.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't have-
I don't have to be back to Kingwood till 3 o'clock. So, okay.
I don't know why.
Well, that's interesting. Well, wait up a minute. What is your business?
Yeah. And
You're cleaning services too?
No, we do.
Moving. Roofing. Okay, I got you. I don't hear well and the echo in here is a little. All right, so you're a roofing company.
Oh. People, we start with one business 1 year ago, but for some reason, after the year, we start to work only about reference, so you make the website or something, but now, everybody have company.
Well, and the other thing is you need to have something that, so when somebody looks for a roofer, they can find you.
Yes.
I mean, that's the important thing. And I mean, the thing is that we went through this whole phase where everybody's like, you don't need a website. I think people are coming back to, you need a website. So those of you that listened to me 20 years ago, which is nobody in this room because I've only known like these people for 3 months. All right. But I've been saying for years, don't abdicate your website. Make sure you have a website. You need to have that because that's your piece that you can control. And when you don't have one and as things change, then you find yourself in a pickle over it all. So anyway. All right. Yes.
But, I think it's like, she was handling. With the last redstone I had to get the roof done for work, but it was a metal. I realized that there's a lot of people that don't do metal roofs. So I took it to Google, and of course it showed up the best ones. And I literally went into the webpage and I did, it says contacted or reading estimate or something. Nobody ever called me back.
That's not an uncommon problem.
And I did
That's really not an uncommon problem in this day and age because nobody really wants to talk on the telephone anymore. But to me, I I've told Monica, like, if anybody calls us for sales, I want that call done. If we can get it in the first hour, I would be happy. I want, like, literally, we have had a phone come in, stop what you're doing and go call. That's my policy on this kind of stuff. Now, I may be slow on getting a proposal because it takes a while to build one, but if you call me, I'm trying to get everybody to get a call back like immediately because that is becoming common. And it's because all you guys under the age of 40 hate the telephone. You don't want to talk to anybody. You're like all antisocial people. I don't know why we have a whole generation of this. Huh? Yeah, but all right. Are you ever under 40? I can't remember. You're over 40. I just said everybody under 40. It's literally a whole generation of people that don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And I hate texting to get it. Yeah, yeah, I literally went to the with you. But no, I never got it.
Well, and that's just a little bit of feedback. Answer your phone calls when you get them. You never know who's calling you. So I have a similar problem. I need siding on my house. I got one guy that gave me a quote for $12,000 and I can't find one more person in the city of Houston to give me a quote. Nobody wants to touch it. I really don't understand. It's literally not that big of a house. Yeah. Well, if I can't, they come, they look at it and they never give me a quote because they don't want to do the job.
My mom has the same problem because she's like 77.
I'm not 77 now, so it's not that.
Asking people on her Facebook, yeah, the Facebook like neighborhood community, and like she's literally had many neighbors just come in for free. They're like, oh, that's like.
Well, I'm not 77. They're gonna make me do it myself. So. All right, with all of that said, that's everything for today. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna call. That's a wrap for this week's Internet Marketing Clinic. We'll see you next week. Thank you.